Hey guys, I'm Logis and I make planes. So how do I get the mod pack? You go to YouTube at Carsan2 with the Qarsan2, and you'll find his Discord and videos and other stuff there. Before we actually get into the tutorial, let's start off with Create. Create allows you to have mechanical components within Minecraft. The terms I will be using are stress units and RPM. Stress units are a unit of force within Create, and RPM is the speed at which something is rotating. Stress units can be generated in a couple different ways, all of them requiring rotational force. For steam engines, you need water and steam to provide the motion which creates rotational force through the shaft. As you can see here, windmills, they create rotational force through the rotation of sails, which come out the back end and create rotational force here. Water wheels will use water flow to create rotational force, and they can be outputted from the front and back. These are stackable, creating more stress units per stack and becoming more efficient each time. The way we in Tanktussle generate stress units are through the use of engines. These are your Create diesel generators. They all have their special properties and special features. This is the diesel engine, which takes fuel input from below, and it has the ability to apply a turbocharger, which increases the RPM, and a silencer, which the engine sound off. Same with the modular engine. You can use a silencer to turn the engine off. However, you cannot use a turbocharger. This, however, takes fluid input from the top, and when you stack it, it'll take from one side and it will apply to both. This is your huge diesel engine. This is your bulkiest and biggest engine here. However, will create the most stress units and is one of the most used engines in Tanktussle. When you're doing a skinny plane, you're going to want to pick a modular diesel engine or diesel engine, just because of the fact that they are in line. What I mean by that is when you place them, they're in line with your plane structure and can be built upon. Huge engines, however, rely on huge engines rely on a 3 block space. This is really hard to work around if you're playing on making a skinny plane. So if you're making a larger, flatter plane, you could use a huge engine. If you're making a skinnier, taller plane, use your diesel or mod engines. As you can see here, your planes are very physics based. They are in use. You need 3 main components: lift, thrust, and actual drag to control it. Without drag, you are not able to control your plane. Let's get started on our basic airplane. What we want is an engine to create stress units, and we want to divert that into multiple drive sections to power our flaps and elevators. Elevators are your rear wings, if you will. They move your plane, they pitch your plane up and down, and they are responsible for also stabilizing your plane somewhat. Wings and flaps, very standard. Your wings come out to the side, and your flaps are your actual control surfaces. Those are called ailerons and flaperons in real life for the front flaps. So let's start off with a modular diesel engine, just because I'm going to make this in a somewhat skinny plane. So here is your engine. As you can see, you got outputs on both sides, shafts. What you want to do is you're going to grab a cog right here, and then you're going to apply a pump to that. So as the engine is rotating, it will constantly pump fluid or fuel into the engine, keeping it running for a while. You can do this in a setup like this, and we're going to use a creative fluid tank for our fuel storage. I'm going to pull that power out backwards. We're going to do that by running shafts and drives and gearboxes. before we get to that, we're going to add a clutch. This is basically our kill switch function. So if we need to work on anything, we just flip a lever and then we are good to go. We're going to pull that out into a gearbox, and we're going to pull that further out into another set of gearboxes. The direction of rotation does not matter for this because when you apply your flap bearings, which are these, they only require force to come in and redstone signal to activate your flaps in ailerons. We use links for flap bearings. This is a remote activation for flap bearings because we don't want to be pushing buttons or pulling levers, literally. In the plane, we're going to want a nice high canopy so we can see, and yeah, we don't want to be back here messing around with flaps and wings while we're flying. So what we do is we reverse the direction of one incoming signal for your wings and flaps. So while this one turns up, the other one turns down. This will create a rotational force, centrifugal force. One generates lift, the other one generates drag. You will turn it in the direction which generates drag, and the one that pulls lift will turn your plane and roll it. This is how rolling actually works. So up and around is basically how your rotational centrifugal force happens. Your pitch and elevation, I use inverted controls like in real life, where pulling back on the joystick or pressing S will actually pitch your plane up, while A will push it down. Other people have their preferences. These are mine. The way we're going to separate these controls are with frequency filters. We're just going to use wool for that. Pretty simple and standard, really. For me, I use the wool in cardinal directions, like that. North, east, west, south. So for pitching up, that is going to be your south command, which are going to be on the north side because it is inverted. Who would have guessed? Opposite of that is your pitch down on the red side, red wool. This will activate your flaps and push it down like that, and it will create drag instead of lift. This is very standard. Your west side will have the west link, and the east side will have your east link. This is reversed on the other side because of your rolling. You want to roll and not actually turn sometimes, especially in a fighter jet. When you're actually turning, you will be able to use a rudder, something like this, set up that, and then you will have links on this side like that. That is our control surfaces. Now we have to actually add control surfaces. We do that by adding flaps to your flap bearings, who would have guessed? And then we want wings to create lift for us. Flaps and wings generally do the same thing. However, wings constantly generate lift, while flaps will create lift and drag through the rotation of these bearings. You want your elevators to be as far away from your center of mass as possible. Center of mass should also be far forward. You'll see that on most jets where the elevators are actually the furthest behind, or this really close to the end of the plane. Sometimes you can see the thruster even going out like this, or the thruster be sitting about right here, and your elevators pushing behind like that. Turning the outside actually spins a lot faster and a lot more than the ones on the inside. That is one reason why you want to make your flaps actually stick out long like that, and not wide like this. you want the most drag and lift possible, so that's why you want a setup like this where your flaps are on the outside. And yeah, so these are your wings. These are going to generate lift for you. Sometimes it is actually too much, so you might want to replace some of them with flaps at the front. These are called slats and flaps. Um, in real life they move, but in Minecraft we don't really do that because it's not really necessary. So we just put wings and flaps here. I'm gonna just put 2 here, just for the sake of it. And a lectern to hold our controller. 2 controller options. You have the linked controller, which has your forward, back, left and right, and space and shift frequencies. And your tweak controller has all of that and a lot more, like your arrow keys, maybe, or stick clicks, and you are able to connect this to an actual controller. So we're gonna do a regular controller for simplicity. I'm gonna go through by rainbow color. So red, orange, that. So WS for your pitch controls, and A and D for your rolling controls. So, and then this one goes to A, and this one goes to D. So yours is gonna look like somewhat of a rainbow, basically, red, orange, yellow. We will save these for our other controls and fill that with armor piercing autocannon rounds, which are your only ammo set of Tanktussle. When you flip it down, you'll see that it is activated and shipped. This means now you cannot interact with it physically with your hands and stuff, and blocks will actually go through. So that is a cool thing to know. And while it's in this contraption mode, you're able to fire and shoot the gun. In Valkyrian Skies, your physics objects are known as ships. This is because Valkyrian Skies was originally made for ship making in Minecraft, which makes sense. So yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab a ship helm. When you're building like this, you're gonna need a ship helm, and when you have a schematic, you can use a ship helm or a ship creator on a block to set it up. So we're just gonna assemble this, and as you can see, it'll fall slowly. That is because we have a data pack enabled, which you can find in my showcase Logis Explains, which reduce the weight of many objects, so this won't fall like a brick out of the sky. Get some gasoline, and we're gonna get a crank. I'm gonna put the gasoline into the fluid tank, and we're gonna crank the engine and get it started. You need rotational force to get anything started, and sometimes when it breaks, just replace it. It's not that serious. And spin it the opposite direction. As you can see here, it's rotating, and the cog will actually power your pump. This section alone takes a bit of stress units out of your system, but not that much. Yeah, mutes the sound of your engine, which is a lot nicer than hearing that all the time. We're gonna glue our control surfaces. These are gonna be used in flight to actually control the plane itself. If it's not connected to a bearing, don't even bother gluing it really. These are just here, and we're gonna actually replace these cannon barrels because they get broken when you ship them. Right now in Tanktussle in Valkyrian Skies, there's a small bug where cannons don't make sounds when they're shipped. So just, yeah, you can see that they don't make sounds when they shoot, but it's not the end of the world. You can live. So after the gluing and stuff, we're going to release the clutch. As you can see, your flaps and elevators are moving. However, we are missing a very crucial component, which is our vertical stabilizer. This stabilizes the plane, and you don't fly all over the place. So we're just gonna add a little small one here, and we're gonna use some wings to over here to separate the vertical stabilizer. So this is your very basic jet configuration. As you can tell, there are multiple configurations and multiple body shapes. This is not a shaping tutorial though, so this is your basic shaping for now. After that, you'll get a gravitron